Mayor Mike, welcome back to Mayor's Monday. First off, welcome back to the country. You've been gone for a couple of weeks. You're collecting quite a few stamps on the passport there. Where were you last week?
This one was more of a vacation, but yeah, we went to Scotland for 10 days, 8 days really with travel, and then we had to go to a funeral to a friend of mine's father, so that took a day or two out of the itinerary too. But it was a great experience. I tell the people though, everywhere in Scotland seems to be uphill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And you didn't get any golfing in while you were over there?
We didn't get any golfing in. It was kind of a whirlwind, but we have a friend over there, Willie Mabin, who lives in Edinburgh, and he took us to see some of the major sites. So Stirling Castle, the Kelpies, went up to the Isle of Skye. Gorgeous, gorgeous country.
It's certainly someplace everybody should try to see up there. The fields of green as far as the eye can see.
Yeah, life is about experiences. It's not about deadlines.
Absolutely. Well, we're glad you're back, and of course. The folks here in Stevens Point are glad you're back as well because you've had some big decisions coming through the pipeline here in recent weeks. First off, tell us just exactly where the parking situation is as of this morning, so to speak, as the council's going to be discussing it.
Yeah, council will be discussing that tonight at the council meeting. Went through committees. We've been talking about this parking issue in various forms literally for years. We are at the point now where we are going to be able to finally allow on-street overnight parking. Currently, it is not allowed in the city. We would try to find a way to make that work. So the proposal would be odd, even-numbered sides of the street. For those who are familiar, on odd-numbered dates, the numbers, you would park on the odd-numbered sides of the street on odd-numbered days of the week, and even-numbered sides of the street on even-numbered days of the week. If there is a no parking zone currently on one side or the other, you would still not be able to park there. We're not changing where you can park. We're just allowing that on-street overnight parking. Right now, you would be required to go online, either through a mobile app or a computer or something, and purchase a permit. Right now, the proposal is $3 per evening, and that would allow you overnight parking between the hours of 2:30 a.m. and 6 a.m., where right now, again, it's not allowed at all. So we are going to, if it passes council tonight, we are going to be doing an instructional kind of media blitz to let people know how to use Flexport, where to access Flexport during normal business hours. You could come down to the police station at 933 Michigan Avenue and purchase your permit if you know you're going to need one for that night or a couple of nights in advance of your need. And then we're also going to be working through the possibility of having other locations. The library, of course, has free computer access when they're open, so that would be a place you could also get a permit. Some people don't have internet access or don't know somebody where they can get online, so they would be able to go to the library. Someone could help them there. Someone could contact the police department at normal business hours and get their permits through there. So we're going to constantly be expanding that, but this is the first time ever that we've been able to allow on-street overnight parking. We're also going to be shuffling some parking issues, the kiosks, and allowing some additional parking in the university area where there's currently not parking allowed or not necessarily metered or hourly restricted parking. That's up for consideration tonight as well. Just some minor tweaks based on the feedback that we've gotten from the past 8 months or so of the parking restrictions and advantages that we put in place there. So I expect that to go through council as it was proposed through committee, but barring something weird coming up, it could happen that we change the times or we change the amounts or something like that.
I know in some of the previous meetings that I've attended on this issue, there's been a lot of discussion about the hours and about kind of comparing what Stevens Point has to what Appleton has or what La Crosse has or elsewhere.
Right.
So kind of just in your mind, the hours between 2 and 6, do you see that as kind of the best fit maybe for what people in Stevens Point need?
Well, and I do. We had some feedback from other communities that are less restrictive. We've also had people that are more restrictive. We want to do what's best for Stevens Point. Excuse me. And that involves our recommendation of 2:30 to 6 a.m. That's currently what it is in regards to overnight parking. So we don't do parking enforcement overnight until after 2:30 a.m. After that happens, if you're parked on the street, you are subject to potentially getting a ticket. Keeping those hours the same was important because it's worked well for a lot of years.
Yeah, so we'll be looking forward to how that ends up going tonight through the council. But I know it's something that you've been working on. It's almost one of your pet projects, would you say? Since you've taken office?
I can say I was involved in it, but honestly, there have literally been dozens of people involved over the course of time. And this isn't something that just popped up 6 months ago. It literally, as I said, we've been talking about it for years, back in the time when I was an alderman, trying to find ways to make it work, because overnight parking can create some challenges. Street sweeping, snow plowing, even public safety. So everybody had some concerns. We did our best to try and address those, and I think we've done a good job, and we've got a good product now. At committees, there was little discussion about anything except the time. They debated that a little bit, and in the end, felt comfortable with that 2:30 a.m. to 6 a.m.
We will definitely be keeping an eye on that as the evening progresses here tonight. Some of the other ongoing issues that we've had in Stevens Point, of course, being its construction season, construction updates, and I wasn't able to take my usual exit to get right here to City Hall.
Right.
Things are still moving here.
Soon. So yeah, 2 seasons in Wisconsin. There's winter and then construction, and we're knee deep in construction season. Isidore Street is going through a complete reconstruct, the entire length. That has started and is scheduled to be completed sometime later this fall. The intersection at North Point and Division, as we talked about before, is being constructed into the city's first roundabout. Because we have a giant new building that's going up in relationship to the new Century Insurance building, in talking with the school district, the employees of Century, we decided the best way to keep traffic flowing was going to be to install that roundabout. I'm not a fan of roundabouts, but I believe in this case, this is a really good location for something of that nature. It's going to be completed. We're scheduled to be completed August 30th, and that was critical so we didn't interfere with the high school, the high schools who use that area. So we wanted to make sure that was done. But traffic has been flowing. We've actually had some pretty decent feedback in regards to some temporary traffic measures that we installed on Stanley Street in the way of putting temporary stop and go signal lights at one of the intersections. Lots of positive feedback, so we're looking at possibly making those permanent on Stanley Street. Signals can be very expensive, upwards around $300,000 for an intersection. But there's grants available from the Department of Transportation and other things, so we're working on the possibility of making those permanent because it's been so well received. Other than that, we've got, this is a bad year for potholes, so we're still having street crews out. We've got 2 crews working almost every day when we can, crack filling and pothole filling and trying to get those roads back up to standard. It's likely going to take us a while longer, and that's unfortunate because then we're going to be into the fall season and start that cycle all over again.
Oh, yeah.
But every city in this area has that issue. Winter comes around and breaks up the streets underneath because of the water freezing and melting and freezing and melting, and then in spring we fix them, and we fix them until they're the best we can, and then the whole cycle starts again.
Yeah, it's an ongoing issue, as we like to say.
Yeah.
In the business. But of
maintenance.
Course, maintenance, yeah, and it takes up a good chunk of your budgets as well. And of course, one of those things that when you're elected to office, you don't realize that you're going to have to deal with the potholes all the time. But you become an expert on it pretty quick.
You do, because it's just one of those things that you have to deal with as a homeowner. I need to cut my grass every so often or shovel my sidewalk, and in the spring I have the same issues. I have a couple of dogs. We do our best to keep up during the winter, but in spring inevitably there's things that need to be cleaned up and repaired, and we do that.
Yep, absolutely. And of course, another thing that you're constantly working on as mayor of the city is economic development and new developments and things like that. Do you have any updates on any of the projects?
So we've actually got a couple of projects in the works. We just solicited proposals for what we call the Lullaby site. It's been vacant for a lot of years, and we've had people who are interested, but for some reason or one reason or another, they never come to fruition. So we've got 3 proposals on that. Our redevelopment authority has reviewed those, and hopefully we'll be able to choose one of those projects to move forward. We have entered into a purchase option for what people around here know as the Belkey Lumber Site. Older building, lumber yard back in the day. It's been vacant for a while, and we're looking at purchasing that for possible redevelopment. There is plans on North Division Street, of course. We talked about the housing project and small commercial aspect at the former Kmart site. That we expect to break ground almost any time now. And then there's some other opportunities also on North Division Street that we've been working with. You're not seeing a lot happen right now because we're kind of in that phase of negotiations and approvals on a lot of these things. Once those approvals are completed, then I expect the shovels to start pitching. We just, as a matter of fact, I got an invitation for Russell's Gymnastics, who's going to be doing a groundbreaking later this month. Looking forward to that, adding to our community as well.
Yeah, just all those little things like that. It just makes Stevens Point, or makes any community, just that much more attractive when you have more things to offer.
Yeah, it does. And, we're constantly growing, and I really like that since I've been in office. We've had an average of about $20 to $25 million a year prior to me taking office. Since then, we've had continued growth, where last year we had about $120 million in net new construction. We're on track this year to come close to that mark as well. So that's really good. The advantage we have there is with net new construction, we're able to increase our tax base. The state puts levy restrictions on how much we can spend, which is a good thing in most cases, but that's been constantly constraining municipalities, not just Stevens Point, but everywhere over the years. So unless you grow, you can't expand or increase your budget. So they allow you to increase your budget only by net new growth. Well, that's kind of challenging if you have a net new growth of, let's say, 0.5%, 0.5%, but your expenses go up 1%. It means you're effectively losing 0.5% every year. We've been dealing with that for quite some time. So with our net new construction up, this is the first year we're able to start allowing our department heads to increase their operational budget. We're anticipating about 2.2 or so percent increase, which will give us about another $250,000 or so that we can distribute to our department heads, so they can finally start reestablishing some of those services that have been lost over the years.
Yeah, because managing budgets and things like that too, it never is anything anybody wants to do, but somebody's got to do it, and somebody usually goes away happy, somebody usually goes away upset. Now this way, maybe a few more go away happy than upset.
Yeah, well, it's just like our budgets at home. We have to do that. We have to live within our means. I would love to fix every single road and replace every road, but we can't do that. It's just not practical. So we have to do the best that we can with what we have available. Our departments have been very, very good about trimming whatever fat may be. They've trimmed into the meat, and it's getting to the point where we're almost trimming bone. That's how tight they're running. But our department heads, just get in there and do it. We have a job to do to help the citizens of Stevens Point, and it's the same with every other community. I'm sure Wiza has the same issues. I talked to Mayor Bob and Mayor Vrewink over in Rapids. We all have the same challenges. We deal with it as best we can, and that's why we work well together as mayors, trying to figure out what you're doing different than we're doing, and maybe we can work together and save some money. Your ideas, my ideas, those sorts of things. And it works out pretty well.
And before we let you go, of course, got to talk about festivals in Stevens Point, because it seems like you've got something every weekend. You've got more concerts coming up.
We do,
and you have even a jazz fest coming up too.
We do. The Jazz Fest is going to be towards the end of August. We have Jam in July, which is coming up. That's a riverfront festival. Every Wednesday night, we still have the city band at our band shell down by the river. Every Thursday, we still have the Levitt music series that's fabulous. Has been well received, better than I even anticipated. They have food trucks down there. You can get soft drinks or beer if you want. We still do movies in the park. We just had one 2 Fridays ago where they showed Goonies, one of my favorite movies.
Yes.
The next one coming up is actually going to be a movie-themed costume contest. So that's going to be coming up in August, so watch for that. And boy, check our community calendar, the city website, Facebook page, or our Convention and Visitors Bureau, and they'll have all of the cool things that are going on in Stevens Point. Come on down and give us a try.
Absolutely. We'll look forward to it, and we always appreciate the time. Look forward to chatting again next month.
All right. Have a good one.
Yeah.